Alright, the first filter we're going to be testing is a K&N Performance, part number KN163. This filter is made in Thailand by K&N Engineering, Riverside, California. It has a sturdy 17mm nut for easy removal, heavy-duty canister construction, pre-drilled safety wire attachment, uniform pleated modern synthetic media traps 99% of harmful particles, specifically designed for use with today's synthetic and synthetic blended oils. High flow design provides outstanding filtration at high flow rates, anti-drain back valve, pre-lubed base seal, and a heavy-duty base plate with double rolled seal. The second oil filter we're going to be testing is an OEM BMW oil filter, part number 11421460845, and it is made in Austria. The third filter we're going to be testing is a Molly brand oil filter, part number OC91, and this oil filter is made by Molly Aftermarket in Germany, made in Austria. The fourth filter we're going to be testing is a High Flow Filtro premium oil filter. This is the cheapest oil filter at test. It is part number HF163. This filter is TUV type tested and production monitored to meet or exceed all OE specifications, suitable for all types of engine oil, including fully synthetic blends. It is made in Thailand. Upon opening the four oil filters, I noticed that the OEM BMW filter and the Molly filter do not have a protective plastic. So the K&N has a pre-lubed seal, but upon inspection, as does the High Flow, and actually, I would think the High Flow has a little bit more oil on the seal. Alright, so the K&N oil filter has a wrench off top that you can just use any 17mm socket or wrench to easily remove your oil filter, where the other three, you need a special oil filter wrench. And another thing I noticed is the BMW special oil filter wrench fits nicely over the OEM filter and the High Flow filter, but it doesn't fit that well over the Molly filter. Alright, so we're going to be cutting open all these oil filters using a special tool. Alright, so now that we have all four filters taken apart, right away I noticed that the K&N filter and the BMW filter, the K&N has a really thin spring, and then the OEM BMW is a very thick, heavy spring. Also, what I notice is that the K&N and the High Flow both have a O-ring there for when this seals. It has an O-ring for that to seal against. Where the BMW and Molly do not have an O-ring, so it's just metal on metal. Alright, so the diameter of the spring on the K&N is 2.28 millimeters. The diameter on the BMW, 3.04 millimeters. The Molly, 2.75 millimeters. And the High Flow, 2.27 millimeters. Okay, now for the actual filter, the K&N has 69 pleats, and I notice around it they're not super uniform. You can see they're kind of clumped together here, and they're a little farther apart there. On the OEM filter, the pleats are very uniform, and there's 74 pleats total. The Molly filter, also the pleats are very uniform. There's this weird kind of paper band around all of them, and there's 74 pleats. Now for the High Flow, there's 84 pleats, and again, they're very uniform. There's a little bit of glue that's holding the pleats together that must have spilled off during production, but now for the inside, The K&N and the high flow look very similar inside. And the OEM BMW and the Moly filter look very similar inside. There's a little plastic piece in there. Right off the bat, I'm noticing that the perforated tubes between the K&N and the high flow are very similar. The high flow seems to have a little bit larger holes that are more densely packed, where the K&N has some looser packed, smaller holes. The perforated tube on the OEM BMW compared to the Molly's are very similar, probably the same. Now on to the bypass valves. So the bypass valve is a good example. So the oil flows through your filter media this way, and if your filter media is packed with debris or sludge after a oil change that's probably long overdue, instead of starving your engine of oil, the oil will go around and the oil pressure will overcome this spring right here, opening up this valve, thus supplying your engine with unfiltered oil. So the high flow filter and the K&N both have a very similar style bypass valve. The Moly and the BMW, our two most expensive filters, have two very similar style bypass valves where they have a filter. So if your primary filter is plugged and it has to bypass your filter through your bypass valve, it'll overcome this spring and then it'll have a secondary filter, so your engine will be supplied with filtered oil. Now, none of my videos are sponsored, so all these filters were purchased by me. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please check the links in the description for my Patreon and PayPal. Have a safe ride.